real quick, I'd just like to say hello to my fellow Nighthawks out there. We're following you. We love you. You're great.
Well, now, what avatar are you?
I am actually Johnny Depp right now, so I'm just feeling Johnny Depp tonight. I don't know.
All right, so you change it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, anyways, I have a story about the Grim Reaper for you.
Sure.
Okay, well, not too long ago, I took some friends of mine who were about to go into the Navy up to an abandoned insane asylum up here in Seattle around this area. And we went to the asylum. Trippy stuff happened, but nothing too bad. We walk out, and we're just hanging out down below. It's the abandoned insane asylum is up on a hill, and we're down below the hill. And out of nowhere, all of a sudden, I was with some pretty religious people, and I just started getting nervous and anxious, and stuff was going wrong. And I'm not very religious because I don't want to memorize any songs. Excuse me. But so we're there, and out of nowhere, this 7-foot black figure just started coming at us, and then it disappeared. Started coming at us again, disappeared. And I've never seen anything like it before. It looked like something off of a heavy metal album or something. It was wild. And it was just crazy, man. So I've never, the people who I was with just lost it and started crying and stuff, but we just booked it and ran out of there. So it was pretty wild.
Did you think maybe it's some guy in a costume playing a trick?
No, there's no way, because it was just all black. It was no face. We thought that at first, and of course, being, young adolescent males, we started talking smack to it and, telling it to come out and stuff like that. And what would happen is it would disappear before our eyes and then reappear closer. So after about the third or fourth time, we decided we had enough. And
that's when you stopped talking the talk, right?
Exactly. That kind of separated the men from the boys, and I guess we were all boys that night. So,
well, you know what? Let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with a little fear from anybody once in a while.
That's very true.
Sometimes that's smart.
Absolutely. But, it's a great experience. They won't talk about it to this day. But the trippy thing is that the two of the guys I was with were going to Iraq the next week, and I don't know if it has any connection, but one of them didn't come back. So.
Oh, that's sad.
It was pretty wild, but thank you very much for taking my call, George. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Right.
Have a good weekend, and thanks for listening to Coast to Coast. Let's go to our wild card line. Your turn. You're on the program. Hi there.
Hi, George.
Hello.
This is Mary from Salt Lake.
Hi, Mary. Another Salt Lake caller. Of course, we've got a huge audience in Salt Lake City.
Yes, you do.
But the entire city is calling tonight.
Well, I think you have a huge audience all over. I guess we were just lucky tonight.
We are pretty widespread. It's just the luck of the draw sometimes. I've talked to people today in Houston who have tried to get through for years, and they just can't do it. Some other people, they can get through every month. They just have a knack for it, I guess.
I know. There's kind of a secret trick that I will never say.
I wonder if they're buying Tommy off or something like that.
No, I'll tell you what. I know when I'm going to get on.
Oh, you feel it?
I feel it. And it's only when I have something that I feel that's very important to say. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to bother you or anybody else. I'd rather listen. And I get that feeling, and I call, and I usually get on.
Okay, well, that must be important tonight, huh?
Well, I think so. It's not exactly Grim Reaper, but I was born as a healer. And, of course, I've never taken any money for it. I've always healed my children. My mother is now dying of cancer in Arizona, and I live in Salt Lake, as we said. Mm-hmm. And I travel there at least once a month just to give her treatments to help her feel better as she's passing. Last week, before she went to the doctor the next day, we always give her treatment I always do about 8 o'clock, and I meditate first and make sure that only good is around all of us. And I felt myself standing in her room, and I saw them, but that has happened before, but my parents both looked up and saw me. And the next night, after she had gone to the doctor, and they said, you may have months, I was getting ready to do the nighttime meditation because she has a very difficult time sleeping.
Yeah.
And I was using a crystal ball, only to see the colors in it, and pray while I'm doing it, and just to get me into the mode of meditation. And all of a sudden, I saw her bedroom in the ball, not like in my mind. And I saw someone standing over her, which was not me. And it was, I guess it was someone in a robe, and he has had his hands over her like I do when I'm, I don't pray over her. Of course, the Holy Spirit works through me. I'm just a conduit. But whether that was the Grim Reaper or not, I took a photo of it. I had a camera just sitting right there, a Polaroid, because I wanted to make sure it wasn't in my mind.
Did it turn out?
Yes. I
You
have
could
a
see
picture.
it? Well, we have to see this.
I know. I'd like to get it to you. It's just a Polaroid. I've sent one to my mother. I didn't want to frighten her, but she knows, and she's at peace.
Did this creature give her comfort?
Yes.
Or do you think it frightened her? Comfort.
She was not frightened.
Do you remember? You probably don't. You're probably
Well, I
too
might.
young. Well, I don't know.
Hey, I'm 56.
All right, you might. It's an old Twilight. Did you watch Twilight Zone when you were a kid?
Always.
All right. Do you remember the one with Robert Redford? He was a police officer.
Yes, I do.
He was wounded outside the door, and the little old lady, I can't remember her real name, would not let him in because she thought he was Mr. Death.
Right.
And he kept saying, please let me in, please let me in. And her little apartment building was going to be condemned, and they were going to knock it down. And she refused to open the door for anybody. She stayed in this thing. Meanwhile, Redford gets wounded, and I guess she eventually felt sorry for him and brings him in and puts him on the couch. And he ended up being, I guess I can tell people that. Yeah, he was Mr. Death.
Yeah.
And but she was so comforted. He took her away. In the last scene, you could see them basically like walking out together, and she was, happy again. It sounds like this was this kind of creature.
That's what I thought, because for some reason I saw it in the crystal, and I don't usually see things. It's just to help while I'm preparing myself to get all the evil out of any space we're going to enter.
Good for you.
And but this was such a clear picture, and I don't know why the Polaroid was even sitting on the table, but it was.
Okay, now we got to figure out how to get it to us. Do you have snail mail, or do you have the ability to email it to us?
I do. I have an email.
Okay, you get it to me at george@coasttocoastam.com. I also want you to send it to Lex, L-E-X, at coasttocoastam.com.
I'll do it.
All right, thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. This is a great story. Next up, let us go to our first-time caller line. You're on the program. Hi there.
Hi, George. This is Dave from Vandalia, Ohio.
Hey, Dave.
I just wanted to let you know my story. My sister passed away about 10 years ago, and the day of the funeral, after the funeral, I was tired, so I laid in my mom's bed, went to sleep, and all of a sudden this loud noise woke me up, but I was paralyzed. I could not move no matter what I tried to do. And finally, I heard this voice saying, I'm okay, and it finally let me move. But to this day, I still get cold chills when I think about it.
Why do you think it was holding you down?
I have no idea. I couldn't move, I couldn't turn over, I couldn't even move my hands or anything. Totally paralyzed until I heard that.
Do you think it was sleep paralysis, which is a condition? It happens. People get it.
I've never had it since. I've wondered about that, but it's never happened since.
That is weird.
It's scary.
But as soon as you wanted to get released, so be it, huh?
So be it, yes.
Yeah, that's what makes it strange. Okay, thanks, Dave. Appreciate you sharing that with us. Let's go to the east of the Rockies line. You're on Coast to Coast. Good morning to you. Hi there.
Hello, George.
Hi.
My name is Paul, and I'm traveling this long black ribbon that we call the highways of the United States.
Well, keep trucking and stay safe.
Thank you, sir. Got a question for you.
Okay.
Back in the late 60s and early 70s, there was a writer named John Norman. He wrote about an alternate Earth that traveled on the same rotation as the Earth. Now, without going into all the philosophy, the principles of the books, I was curious what your thoughts were about the possibility of a secondary planet on our rotation.
I think We don't have a secondary planet, but we may very well have a major extraplanet in the solar system that they haven't found yet. The work of Zecharia Sitchin, I think, is fantastic. And I think that there very well could be this extra planet out there. Some people call it Planet X. It just hasn't come rolling by here yet. I also think our star system is a binary star system, 2 stars, and it's out there somewhere. And they just haven't found it. Could be a dark star now.
Okay.
But yeah, I think there's another planet in the solar system. I don't think it's in the Earth's orbit, but I think it's out there.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. Have a great night.
Okay. You too. Appreciate you being part of the program. Let's go to the Grim Reaper line. You're on Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Hello, my name is Ralph, and I'm calling from Los Lunas, New Mexico.
Hello, Ralph. The Grim Reaper man. What's up?
Well, my story is this. I was driving home from a friend's funeral, and I just put on a mix of music that they played at the funeral. He liked the band called Rush.
Oh yeah, we play some of that bumper music every once in a while.
Yes. And I was coming around this bend going towards my home, and there's a train tracks there. And just as I was coming around the bend, I saw the gates coming down, and I stopped, and I looked north. I didn't see a train. I looked south, and I didn't see a train. And a few minutes later, you could hear the train, you could feel the train, but you couldn't see the train. I mean,
ghost
it was
train almost, huh?
Yeah. It was like you could hear it. You could feel the vibrations of the ground, and just as the silence and the wind stops, in my headlights, standing in front of me, is the character as known as what looked like the Grim Reaper.
And was he just staying there looking at you?
Yes. And just as the gates for the train start to go up, he vanishes in the direction that the wind went. And I will never forget that for the rest of my life.
He vanished in the direction of the wind. Just off he went.
Yeah. And I could have sworn maybe he was laughing it's been etched in my mind. And, it's just, like I said, coming from a friend's funeral, that really affected me.
And I am sure the train never showed up, did it?
No, there was no train, but you could hear it, you could feel it, but you couldn't see it.
Okay, thanks. Next up, let's go to our first-time caller line. Your turn on Open Lines. Hi there.
Hi, this is Chris in the Quad Cities.
Hey, Chris, what's going on?
I just wanted to let you know about a program on the History Channel that I just watched last night.
Sure, what is it?
In the past, about December 21st, 2012, the end of days.
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, one of my friends produced it.
Oh, very good. Callers,
Yep.
It's also on again on Saturday at noon.
Great. I mean, it's a great program, and they come up with some different concepts and ideas, but it's worth it because, every idea about that time period, is important. What do you think is going to happen 2012?
I don't know. I listen to your program all the time, and I work nights, so I listen to it all the time. But one thing that was on that History Channel program was all the prophecies of Merlin that's never been addressed on Coast to Coast that I'm aware of. But I thought it was really interesting. I just wanted to let you know.
Okay. No, we've had Merlin on quite a bit, as a matter of fact, talking about this in 2012 and predictions way beyond 2012. Let's go to our wild card line. Welcome to the show. You're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hi there. It's Jay calling from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Hey, Jay, go ahead.
Yeah, my story is about, I'd like to say first my angels for getting me on the show tonight. So
Good.
Yeah. My story is about forgiveness, and in November of 2003, I decided to forgive my dad after about 24 years of being angry at him. And in December 27th, 2003, I went over to my dad's house, and after we had supper, we went to the living room, and we turned on this light. And this light is hanging from the ceiling, and it started blinking off and on. So I said to myself, spirits, I've got to hurry up here. So I'll just wait. I'll forgive my dad real quick. So I showed my dad a videotape of how my life was going. And then I said to my dad, and then I held my palms out to my dad and said, Dad, thank you, Mom and Dad, for bringing my soul onto on this earth. Thank you.
And did he accept that?
Yes, he did. And
why did it last so long?
Why did it last so long? Because I said, I wasn't in touch with him. I was angry at my dad. That's all I can think of.
For something he did? Something you don't want to say?
Oh, like for the punchline is coming up, and the second thing I said to my dad is, thanks for being so innovative, and thanks for the humor. Thanks much, Dad. And then I said, Dad, I have something to say to you. I'm angry for you for 24 years, and the reason why is that you did the best you can without a father since 10 years old, or since the...
Speak up and give me the punchline.
Okay. And then we both cried, and I said, Dad, I asked for forgiveness. And Dad said yes. And we forgave each other and cried and cried and cried.
Well, it's good that you can do that. It really is. You're a better person for that. I'll be back in a moment. Open lines, final segment on Coast to Coast AM. Okay, no promises, but we're working on the possibility of doing an entire program live from Roswell, New Mexico, during their anniversary celebration of the crash at Roswell. So this would be around the 4th of July holiday. It would be that Friday, and we're working on some technical situations there. If it works, I'll be there. And we'll have a great program because I'm going to try to get Stanton Friedman out there with me and some other people who are experts on the Roswell case. So I'll give you more information in the months ahead. Just think about it. It's not a promise yet because I don't know about the technical requirements, but we're working on it. But if we can do it, it would be one heck of a show. I really want to do it. Back in a moment, we'll take final calls on Coast to Coast AM. Okay, let's go now to our wild card line. You are on Coast to Coast with us. Thanks for holding.
How you doing, Mr. Norrie?
Fine, sir.
Yeah, I'm calling. My name is El Cid. I'm calling you from Western Pennsylvania. I love your show. And last week, you touched on a subject that made my hair stand on the back of my neck. And it was these quadruple numbers, like four ones, 3 ones, 5 5.
Oh, yeah.
Triple twos. I've been seeing that for like 2 years now. I don't know what it means, but when you said that, it was just electric. And I said, oh, my God, that was just incredible. I listen to your show all the time, and I only want to say one other thing. I'm one of those child abductees. I've been being abducted all my life since I was a child. I'm African-American, and I've been abducted since I was like a little boy, off and on all my life. I've even been on the ships and different things like that. But I don't know what these numbers mean. But I've been seeing it for 2 years. I want to hang up, so I want to hear what you got to say about it.
Okay, let me ask you one quick question. Can you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the ships. What do they look like on the inside?
On the inside of the ships that I've seen, there was examination tables. There was these balls of light that came down. They had like pentagon-like shapes to it. They would just put them over our heads. I don't know if they were sending information to us or like encoding us with information. I know I've been tagged. I know that. I know I have. But I had years ago, I had an experience with my wife, and she was very frightened by the experience because she was also equally, we were both abducted at the same time, and we had about maybe a 4-hour time lapse between, I guess you say, Breezewood into Eastern Maryland. Yeah, it was really crazy.
Gosh, that's something. Okay, and I'll let you hear my answer about these numbers because a lot of us see sequential numbers. I see 111 or 1111. Everybody knows that by now. Jim Carrey sees 23. So they mean something. And though I believe 1111 means enlightenment, somebody else called me this week and said, no, it does not. I'm going to dive in it a little deeper and get some more information on it. Of course, we've had Glynis McCants give us her take on it. I want to get some other views on it. Let's go to our next wild card line. You're on Coast to Coast. It's your turn. Hi there.
Hi, my name is Mary. I'm calling from California.
Hey, Mary.
Hi, George, I got a story for you. I finally got the chance to talk to you. I've been waiting a long time.
How long?
It's nice meeting you. Yeah. Well, this story I had is a very weird story. About 2 years ago, I picked a lemon off my sister's tree. It's around about the holidays. I was going to make a lemon pie.
Okay.
And I picked a bag of lemons, and I took them home. But there's one particular lemon, when I took it out of the bag, this particular lemon, I still have it today. It's been 2 years. This particular lemon has 5, it's like a hand. If you take the palm of your hand and put them together right at the wrist, it had 5 fingers with fingernails on it. And in the middle of the hand, it had a head of the devil. It had the horns, the nose, and the mouth, and it would gleam like in the eyes and in the mouth. And I worked at a particular department store, and I took it to work with it. And I showed a couple of people, and a lot of people were afraid of it. A lot of girls, she just did like the cross of, Jesus, and get it away. Everybody was scared. This was a lemon. No one had ever seen anything like it before. And so I took it to the newspaper, to put it in paper, and it was so busy. They were gonna, they called me back, but I was so busy during the holidays, I never did get a chance to go back and have them published in the paper. But I still have this lemon today. And this strange thing about it, with this lemon, every time it was in my car, something would always happen. Like I would get a flat, somebody broke my window, the police would pull me over, I locked my keys inside, stuff like that. They say, you know what you got to do? Take this lemon and bury it. So
well, you know what's wrong with your car.
Yeah. Well,
it's a lemon. Sorry.
It wasn't a lemon.
I had to say that.
It really was a lemon. I got rid of it.
You've got an evil lemon for some reason.
Yeah,
and it doesn't get old? It doesn't rot?
No, I still have this lemon. What this lemon does, it didn't rot. It didn't get molded. It just looked like it dehydrated. I have it in storage right now. And in storage, this lemon, it looks like it looks like old, like an old person gets real wrinkly. And George, you have to see it. Honestly, God, I still have this. They have gray eyebrows and they grew a gray mustache. I still have. When I went back to my storage a couple of months ago, and I saw it, I said, "I'll be doggone it. Where your beard?"
It doesn't talk to you, does it?
No. I talked to it. But you know what I did? I asked this lemon. I said, people say, Barry, it's evil. It's going to do you harm. I said, okay, if you give me $10,000 within a week, I'll bury you. And honest to God, within a week, I got $10,000. I was trying to get my Social
What do you mean you got $10,000 in a week? What happened? How'd you do it?
I was trying to get my Social Security for 9 years, and just so happened it came. Yeah.
All in one lump sum, huh?
Yeah, but I didn't bury it. I locked it up, put it in storage. I still have it. I still have this lemon today. And
all right, why don't you give us periodic updates on the lemon, if you would? East of the Rockies, you're on the air with us. Hello there.
Hi, George. This is Steve calling from Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. How are you doing tonight,
Steve.
George?
Thank you. Good.
It's an honor to be talking to you, George. Listen to you every night. Tell you about a little ghost story I had since I was a kid. My parents moved into this house when I was 1 year old, and my dad died when I was 5.
That's always tough, man, isn't it?
Yeah, it is tough. It was really tough, but I got over it, and my oldest brother helped me with it. I'd be playing downstairs when I was a kid shortly after he died, and my mom would yell down and say, hey, who are you playing with? I'd say, I'm playing with my dad. And I can remember my toys moving around by themselves and everything, and I thought I was playing with my dad. Well, the older I got, the meaner the spirit it got, and it hit me. It wasn't my dad. I'd be laying in my bed at night, and from my closet, I'd hear like a fireman breathing through his mask. I'd hear that come from my closet and go right underneath my bed, and I wouldn't be able to sleep. My dog wouldn't even come into my bedroom. I'd sit there and try to hold her beside my bed to keep her there, and she'd do everything just run out the bedroom, out my bedroom door.
Yeah, she sensed it.
Yeah, she sensed it big time. The only other person in my family that's seen it was my sister. She seen it in a mirror one day walk by, and she also heard windows and doors closing upstairs one day when nobody was up there. So this thing messed with me. We lived in that house until I was 12, and it just messed with me every night, And one time I tried to tape the breathing noises, and I got up the next morning thinking I got it. My tape player was perfectly fine. The tape inside was burned up.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
He didn't want you to hear him.
No, he didn't want me to have proof. And like I said, this went on till I was 12. And one day my mom was talking on the phone to one of her friends, and we were getting ready to move out of the house. And she said, well, if the spirit wants to come move with us, he can. And the cupboard door flew open and missed her head by inches.
My God. Do you think that was him, though? Do you think that was his way of just trying to hang around with you?
No, because this thing was too evil. The older I got, the meaner it got, and my dad would have never done that to me.
Nope.
And, I mean, when I was a little kid, I used to lay in front of the heater because I liked the heat. And I heard the breathing noises come out of that, and I looked, and a hand came out and reached and grabbed me.
God.
Once. I mean, it went on, and finally we moved to our new place, and I heard it. I thought, okay, this is over. A couple of days went by, and nothing. Then one day I heard it, and I finally stood up out of bed, and I went, I had enough of you. I'm not afraid of you no more. This is a new house. Leave me alone. And I haven't heard from him since then.
So, but you are now a believer in life after death, aren't you?
Oh, definitely. That's definitely. There is life after death. Definitely.
Yep, I agree with that. Thanks. Appreciate your call. Next up, let's go to our first-time caller line. You're on Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Hi, this is Rich in Bloomer, Wisconsin.
Hey, Rich. What's going on?
I got a Grim Reaper / Angel of Death story for you.
Okay.
Back in the 90s, I was a competitive bodybuilder, and there was a young guy that wanted to enter his first contest, so he kind of hooked up with me to do some training. And one night at the gym, this guy shows up, and he's asking questions, and they kind of point him in my direction. And he's a real thin guy, all dressed in black, and he comes up to me and starts asking me questions. And he was just kind of creepy, and I was kind of just being polite. I answered a few questions, and he followed me out into the parking lot and really wanted to know a lot about what I was doing with this young guy with the training and whatever. And the guy gave me a really creepy vibe, and I kind of just cut him short and kind of went on my way. And then for the next couple of weeks, I worked out at several different gyms. This guy would just come walking into the gym, walk straight up to me, and start asking me questions about
Same guy.
And his story to me was, I'm from Texas. I'm in the area on business, and he drove this black Firebird. And so all these different gyms, there's no way he could know where I would be at any given time. And he'd come
unless he was following you.
Yeah. Well, that kind of creeped me out. But so he'd come walking up to me in these gyms, and then one day I go into the main gym I go to, and here's this guy working out with the young guy that I'm training.
Oh, man, this is getting too weird.
Yeah, this really is starting to freak me out. And, I mean, I was so creeped out by this guy. I mean, I started to think, this isn't just a guy. This is something really weird.
Something's going on here. Yeah, he's a stalker. He's a serial killer. Who knows what he is?
Serial killer, that is the thing I was thinking. I mean, just creepy. So, I mean, it was creeping me out so bad I wouldn't even ask this young guy anything about this other guy. So we get close to the contest. This young guy, he's 20, excellent health, contest-ready bodybuilder, enters his first show. He didn't place, but, he did pretty well, and he was happy with what we had done. And then it has a sad ending. Here he is, this 20-year-old guy. A week after the contest, he was swimming with some of his friends, and he died of a heart attack.
Oh, my God.
And then I never saw the guy from Texas again.
Never.
Nope.
You know what? I'm gonna step out here and say that this guy was Dr. Death, Mr. Death, part of the Grim Reaper, something like that.
I mean, I had no doubt about it. It just, I think about it still to this day, 10 years later.
That's an amazing story.
Yep.
And as you know, there are no coincidences.
No, there's definitely no coincidence there.
Okay, great. Thanks. That's a horrible story. Man, that's something else. Thanks. Appreciate you. Let's go west of the Rockies. It's your turn. You're on Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Hey, George. This is Kevin in California.
Hi, Kevin.
I'm calling in reference to something the angel lady mentioned. She said that she was wondering why Azrael and Raziel tend to get interchanged for death. Back when I was in Sunday school, I happened to cross a book in my church's library called The Big Book of Angels, and it described that death is a job held by this angel called the Metatron. And the Metatron is an angel that's made up of a bunch of other little angels. And basically, there's like something along the lines, if I recall correctly, 254 different faces of the Metatron. So each of these faces, each of these little personality aspects does a different job. and one of them happens to be death, and he can interchange the job of death between any of the angels that he chooses, depending on how you will react to that image of him.
Uh-huh.
So the more frightened you are of death, the more the more unkind and disgusting the image will be to you, depending on the angel that you choose to throw in that job description for you.
Once they sense a weakness, they go for it, don't they?
Well, yeah, it's not so much that he's trying to sense a weakness as I understand it. It's more along the lines of, if it's not your time, he'll try to frighten you out of a situation that you're doing that will lead to your untimely demise sort of situation.
Right. So he's really
Whereas if it is your time, he'll show up as a more kindly aspect.
To comfort you.
Exactly. I personally had dreams back when I was in high school that I would die in these dreams. Everyone's had one at least. And I'd end up playing chess with the Angel of Death. And in my dreams, he would show up as Matrona, which is a female, one of his two female aspects. And she and I would talk while we played chess. It was just kind of fun. So I don't know if that's something that I picked up from reading this book or if it's something that actually was spiritually happening, but it was kind of cool at the same time. I had no fear of it.
Who, as you played this game of chess with the angel, who won the game? Did you ever get through that?
I won once, and she laughed at me, but for the most part, it was all her. I kind of cheated, sorry.
Well, what you don't want to do is play chess with the devil, because if he wins, then you don't want that at all. How much time? We got some time for a few more calls. Absolutely. Wildcard line, you're on the air with us. Hi there. Good morning.
Hi, George. How are you?
Good. Thanks.
Great. This is Ed down in Vero Beach, Florida.
Yeah, Ed. Go ahead.
Hey, I got a question for you. Being the fact you're from Detroit,
mm-hmm.
Do you, let's see, do you remember Superman, the TV series?
Yes.
Can you tell me the name of the announcer who said, "Look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman"?
Oh, my God. Are you telling me he was from Detroit?
Yes. TV personality. Daytime movies.
Oh, Bill Kennedy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, he was the announcer.
You had to prompt me, but it was him.
Well, it helps. But anyway, what I called about was back in 2004 when we had the hurricanes down here in Florida. I was sitting out in my car just so I wouldn't disturb my uncle listening to the show.
Uh-huh.
And you had Uri Geller on.
Yes.
Now, I had a broken window in the car that wouldn't go up and down with a switch. So Uri Geller said, we're going to fix things. We want you to think about it. 1, 2, 3, it's fixed, and it'll work. So I said, okay. I looked at the window, thought about it, concentrated. He said 1, 2, 3. Boom. Flipped the switch. The window went down. Flipped it. The window went up. It was great. Next thing I heard was, "Don't call in. This has been a recording," and the window broke.
Oh, that's right. I reran
the
Geller show, and you're right, because a lot of people had things fixed, and they had problems with it afterwards. You're right. You were right about that.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to call you and tell you that story since then.
I got to bring him back live so he can fix the window again.
Oh no, I had to go ahead. It cost me $120 to get it fixed after that.
Okay, let's go to our Grim Reaper line. You're on Coast to Coast. Hello there. Good morning.
Hi, George. How are you?
Good, thanks.
This is Marshall in Morgan Beach, South Carolina. I just wanted to say I felt like I have ran from the Grim Reaper my whole life, from childhood accidents to drowning and surfing almost to blowing myself up on a job once, but I have always felt him there, but not in the form of the black cape and the big scythe and all of that. It's just been a feeling of
Don't let him catch you. Don't let him catch you. Stay a step ahead of him.
No, I don't have a problem staying a step ahead of him because I have confidence in what I do, but I have been in positions so many times where it was just like, oh, this is it. But it wasn't a scared kind of thing. It was more of a, well, here it goes. It wasn't, death was there, but it wasn't terrifying me whatsoever.
It sounds like you've been able to master this. We'll be back in a moment. Larry Haber, the attorney for the John Teeter family. Don't go away. Well, if you've got a computer, get up to the coasttocoastam.com website. Take a look at what Sean has posted. It is the video that went with the audio that I played earlier tonight. That ghost girl, the spooky ghost footage filmed in a graveyard. It is in Spanish, but take a look at the video if you would like. It's on the coasttocoastam.com website. And when I come back, the rest of your phone calls, and then at the end of the program, my interview with Larry Haber, the attorney representing the family of alleged time traveler John Teeter. And back to the phones we go. We'll pick it up by going to our West of the Rockies line. You're on the air with us. Hi there.
George?
Yes, sir.
I'm on?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so very much.
You made it.
I did. Once again, this is my third time being able to speak with you, my good friend, and I am so appreciative of it.
You have a good track record going.
Well, it's also because of persistence and determination.
You've bought
because
Tommy
when
off.
you have both of those, it will work for you.
How much
And
cash
anybody that
did
has
you
been
offer
trying
Tom?
as many times as I have.
Now, I need to know this. How much cash have you offered Tommy to get on?
No, not at all. None whatsoever. Positively, absolutely. I've been doing it for an hour, but I already know what it takes to be able to make it to the presence that we have here before us.
You have done it.
And I would like to comment something for you, George.
Okay.
Okay, it's for all of us that are in that 89%. That no one understands from your heart, dear George, for what it is all about in the bigger sense, in the bigger picture. We are all devils and we are all saints. All right? We don't need to know anything about that particular point that we don't already. And all we're going to do is look at it from a particular point that a lot of us are not going to understand. But rather to get into all of that, it's about the children. And the children that are there that are just grasping all of this before us, because if we were to be coming in right now, look at all that we would have to take in before us. It's enough. So every time that you go ahead and give in to those little things that you know within your own spirit that says, we're going too far, we're pushing this envelope, then what's next after that?
That guy, by the way, was creepy.
Yeah, he was creepy, because why, George? It's in all of us. We are all creepy. We are all good, one way or the other.
So you applaud that decision not to go ahead with it?
Oh, very much so, because you know within yourself, George, if that's already telling you and you give it and pass the buck to somebody else, no, I don't want to do it, let somebody else do it. Well, it's all going to come back to us because that's what it's all about out there. And we who have been avid Coast listeners know for so many years out there that we're all looking for the same thing, the truth to be told to us so that we know that it is the truth and not a lie. We all live in lies, and that's what we're finding out now. We don't need lies anymore.
Good point.
So
with
all of that, we are just representing those that want to know that it is out there for us to continue.
How do you feel about me simply letting the channeler say
whoever
what he's
else
going to
wants
say?
to get into that, that's going to be for those
That's
listeners,
his thing.
because we have to both represent both sides, of course. That's what's out there.
And
we
by
can't
the way,
be all goody-goody without knowing realistically we're evil people, all of us together.
I'm not even going to be with him. So, they're going to turn on a tape recorder, let him announce who he is and what he wants to do.
It has to be
and
that way to
so
give it
be
in, but also to understand, though, those children that are out there that are listening, as it would be me.
And there
as
are
a
many.
child.
There are many.
They are many. And that's up to us as responsible adults now to look and understand, hey, do you want that crap to continue to go on within your own life and in your own children's life and your children's life? Well, you keep on thinking like that. You keep on doing that. That's what's going to happen.
Not to say that the devil isn't real.
Oh, of course he's real. How could he not be? I mean, it's created every day when you look at all of the horrible stuff that goes on out there, just as well as the good Lord is, too, with all of the spirit that continues to keep us alive and thinking in a positive and knowing on a better sense why this all has to be so we can get by all of this.
Is the devil winning the battle?
There's no such thing as winning or losing. It's the way it is. And it always has been and it always will be.
All right. Thanks for your call. Appreciate you being on the program. Next up, let's go to our creepy hotline. Welcome to the program. Hi there.
Hi, how you doing tonight?
Good.
My name's Jason, and I'm calling you from the peak of Ohio, Buff Mountain.
Hey, Jason, what's on your mind?
All right, I had a buddy who used to live in a house in our town here, and we had a couple strange incidents. He used to have a dream where he had a lady that was giving him dance lessons, and he had never known this dance before, and then was asking around about it, and it turned out to be a real type of dance. Did some research and found out that 2 people died in his home that he was living in. And the lady who used to live there was a dance teacher. And it just so happened that was the type of dance that she was teaching.
I'm sure it was an unusual type of dance. What do you know? What kind it was? Like the imperial
it was
or something?
Some type of ballroom.
Yeah, ballroom
dancing.
Sure.
And we were sitting in his bedroom one night. No draft in this room whatsoever. Completely airtight almost. And we were just sitting there watching TV, normal night. And his bedroom closet was about an inch open. And this door, you had to turn the handle to latch it and pull it shut. And it just shut by itself. And we're sitting there, and I looked at him, and he said, "Don't say nothing, just keep watching TV."
He was pretty familiar with this one, huh?
Yes, it had happened to him before a couple times. His TV would turn on and off occasionally, and in the middle of the night, he'd wake up, and his TV would be on, and it had been off when he went to bed, and different things like that. And the other incidents was me, him, and his stepson were in the bedroom one night, and we got done watching a TV program. His stepson left the room. I was just short behind him, and he shut the door ahead of me. And I turned around to talk to his stepdad to say something to him, and was trying to turn the handle to pull it open, and the door wouldn't open like he was on the other side turning it or holding it shut. Well, I let go of the handle, and a few seconds later, tried to open the door, and it opened, and he's standing halfway down the stairs looking up at me, asking me what I was doing. And I was asking him, well, I thought he was pulling on the door, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. And the only thing we could come to is something was holding that door shut.
Somebody didn't want you to open it. Thanks for the call. Next up, Wildcard Line, your turn. You're on Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, this is Angelique. Hi, George.
Hi.
I have been speaking to you before about my inventor brother who worked with the Russian scientists.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes, okay. Well, when he died, when he was found dead, we went to the funeral. And he was my playmate. And then I visited my half sister in Germany, and she said, "Oh my God, I wanted to phone home to America." And then she said, "No, you can't because the phone is broken." And I was trying to show off, because my brother was this inventor and with electronics and everything.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh no, that's nothing. I can fix that." So I said, "Bring me some tool, screwdriver and a few things, And so I had great faith, that I would know how to fix it. So anyway, just as I was trying to fix the cable, with how do you call this tape? The tape that you run.
The electrical tape?
Thank you. The electrical tape. Just as I was going to put those two wires together, I heard this big laugh inside my head, which was my brother. And the reason why, he used to tease me, and always, when I was a small child and we played together, he always invented little toys with electricity. And he always said, "Hold this cable for me." And I always was good-hearted and held the cables for him. And very often I got electrocuted, and I was always very scared.
Now, I hope he wasn't giving you the full current.
No, what happened is this. This is humor beyond the grave. Just as I showed off to my sister, because, I'm a little bit practical, I was just trying to mute those two cables together. I heard my brother laugh in my head, like, ha, 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 like he used to do when he was a small child. And then all of a sudden I said, "Did you stop the electricity? It was a live wire." And I could have really been electrocuted big time. And so my sister said, no, my half-sister, "It is alive, no." And it saved me from really being heavily electrocuted. But, my brother proved to me that there is life after death, because he was very humorous. But the funny part is when we were in the funeral in Munich, when they tried to put the casket into the grave,
Yeah.
It was 5 inches too short, the grave. And the casket didn't fit in. He was only 34 years when he was found dead. And we all laughed in the funeral, we laughed because we all thought it was strange, that he probably didn't want to live this life,
He fought it as long as he could, huh?
Yeah, but anyway, he was really terrific. Remember, he was found dead, and he was the first one who did all the solar energy with elevators and motorcycles, and I told you that story.
He would have been a great scientist if he had stayed alive.
We still have videos from him. He was famous everywhere in Germany many years ago.
And he was 34. How old are you now?
Me?
Yeah, you sound young.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
37.
No, I'm many lives old. But what I wanted to tell you.
You won't tell me, will you?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm just trying to guess because of your voice. I'm trying to guess your age.
Yeah, I understand. I saw you finally in the video.
Give me the first number.
Well, I am past. I am sort of already 41.
Oh, see, I was close.
But I'm very, very happy. But the thing about my brother, we all have very strong dream recall because I realized that we have parallel lives. And remember, I told you about the Pope that came into the dream class. I told you about Pope John Paul with the pink towel. I did tell you that.
Yes, you did.
And I couldn't couldn't understand why he came to me and passed me this pink towel with embroidery. And he said, June and Munich. Remember, I told you that. But guess what? The next Pope was from Munich. And he was coronated around June.
That's a good point.
So, it's just interesting because, I understand that we have, and I told you also about many people who drowned, and I was trained in a dream state, which is not to me dream state, that when the people die suddenly, that they are just don't realize that they passed on. Remember, I told you that too.
How do you like living in the United States now?
I love America. I adore America. And I want to say hi to all the wonderful family that I think I'm part of because I listened for many years. In fact, Art Bell has paintings from me. I'm an artist. I teach the old masters in Paris.
How come I don't have any paintings?
What?
I don't have any
paintings. I sent 1 year ago to you and Tom.
Tom probably took it.
No. Or I can send them again, different ones, if you want me to.
Sure. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you for letting me.
How do you say bye in German?
I'm from Austria. What?
How do you say bye in your language?
Auf Wiedersehen.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's go to our wild card line. Welcome to Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Hi, George. This is Tom. Calling from Arizona right now.
Sounds like you're trucking along, Thomas.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I was calling in response to your decision to not do the interview.
Yes.
If there were perhaps questions that you were curious about, I would be willing to put myself in front of the gentleman and ask any questions that were out there for.
You would take the front line for me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Thing is, at 8 years old, I was hit by a car, and I was dead for just under 7 minutes. Faced with mortality at a very, very young age, I've throughout my entire life had an incredible curiosity with what happened, what's out there, and everything like that. And honestly, I don't fear any of it.
How many lives do you think you've eaten up? We're entitled to, I always say 9, like a cat.
I don't know. I used to really be into extreme sports, dirt biking, rock climbing, and things like that. I've probably used up quite a few of my chances.
Yeah, I think I've used up 3. 3 of my 9.
Well, I know for sure the one where I was hit by a car. I was hit by a car when a lady was yelling at her kids and not paying attention, and
ran right into you.
Over.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, you're lucky to be here. Okay, well, you know what? Let's take your number.
Okay.
Hold on, Tom. Get his number just in case we put him in the front lines. I'm not sure I'm going to do that, nor am I sure the network would permit me to, for obvious reasons. Let's go to our creepy hotline. Welcome to Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Hello, George.
Yeah.
This is Kathleen from St. Louis.
Hi, Kathleen.
I just wanted to tell you that I grew up in a house that I'd found out later that was on the Underground Railroad, on M Station Road, on the Illinois Bluff.
Oh, yeah.
I watched the arch being built from the top of my barn.
That was in, what was that? What year was that, 63?
Well,
or 67?
In the time capsule, I would think it was 66 when they finally finished it.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Anyway, my brother used to like to throw me into the closet and shut the door. Well, he had this way, but my father literally became Jack Nicholson in The Shining. I mean, he did unspeakable things. And what was so frightening is that he kind of had that tendency before, but when we moved up on this farm, it was really frightening. It was once like a huge mansion, and the original part was all log, and then they did brick all around it.
What did he do? He tormented you? Or you don't even want to go there, do you?
Please.
Oh,
Okay. Anyway, our sixth grade teacher was murdered. That was in 1966. And someone got an Ouija board for Christmas. We decided to see who murdered our teacher.
Oh, my God.
And the boy that was with us was the funeral director's son.
Okay.
And I don't know whether he was pushing it or not. We kind of felt like he was kind of doing that. But after that, really, really, really bizarre things started happening, really frightening. And in the one closet, you could crawl across the staircase and get into a room that you couldn't tell was there in that other room.
Did the Ouija board ever say who killed the teacher?
Yes, her husband.
The glass was Did he ever get convicted?
No.
He did not. And he's still out there somewhere.
Yeah, or possibly dead by now.
Maybe he died, yeah.
But anyway, she liked to beat me a lot in school, so I feel bad for her. But anyway, I seen the face of evil, and at the same time that my friend called me and said that something was jumping on his waterbed. We were doing these seances in the old house, and we had one yellow cord that, those orange cords, the electrical cords.
Yeah.
My dad had built a newer house.
Those long ones, those.
Yes. He built a newer house close by. We pulled the orange cord through, and he was a genius. He was in the small kitchen. No one knew that it was there. And we would charge $1 a head, and we made like $300 one night.
$300?
Yeah.
Charging kids to come in and look?
Yeah, high school kids.
That's amazing.
And we would hide all the wires underneath the tall moldings, and we had speakers everywhere. Well, this night, I was always supposed to act like I was possessed and that, something would speak through me. And suddenly, everything happened completely differently than it had the other nights. And I was really kind of thinking Mark must have a different tape in or something like that. And he comes out of the kitchen, and I'm like, what? What's he doing out here? And he comes over and he says, you've got to stop. And he actually had to kind of shake me.
You were really possessed.
He was actually floating across the room to me. And he's passed away now, and that's the way I've seen him in my dream when I had.
You guys dabbled with the supernatural way too much. You know that.
Yes, that's why I'm saying that I had a dream the night of the calcium bomb. I knew that was the answer for me. I have 7 of the diseases that are chronic.
Oh my God! Have you gone on that program yet?
Pardon me?
Have you gone on that program yet?
I can't find a doctor.
Where are you?
I'm in St. Louis, and I was hoping maybe.
Oh, there is a doctor there. I'll tell you what. If you've got a computer,
yes,
go on a website and search for Nanobac. It's a company, Nanobac.
Life Sciences.
Yeah, and just call them. They'll help you out.
Well, everyone that I called, they only will do the chelation thing.
Well, yeah. Well, that's good enough. That's a good start. No. They won't do it through the vein. They'll do it with the other system. Call Nanobac and get the names of some St. Louis doctors, and they'll help you out. We'll be back in a moment, and don't forget, toward the end of the show, the interview with the attorney representing the family of John Teeter, time traveler. And we'll be back. We'll continue to take a few of your phone calls. Then we'll wrap up this hour with the interview with the alleged attorney. Well, the attorney's real, but the attorney for the alleged time traveler family, John Teeter. We'll be back in a moment. And when you hear the interview with Larry Haber, the attorney, we did shorten portions of it because I would interview Larry, the attorney, and then there was a portion there, and you'll hear that, where I interviewed the mother of John Teeter through Larry, and what we edited out was my question to Larry's questions to the mother to tighten it up a little bit, so we saved some time. But you'll be hearing that very shortly. And a lot of information in it, and it will. And I'll tell you what's so surprising about this: the fact that there's an attorney involved, And you'll hear his story. I mean, this is fascinating stuff. And I'll let it play first. We'll have a few seconds after it's done for me to wrap things up. And I will probably play it again sometime next week for those of you who are going to bed or you're fading out right now. But I will do that, and maybe even make it available on the website. I'll check with Sean and Lex to see if that's possible. But we'll be doing that right around the corner very shortly. Let's go to our first-time caller line. You're on the air. Hi there.
Good evening, George.
Yes, sir.
Pleasure to hear your voice.
Likewise. Thanks for holding so long.
You're quite welcome. I would like to pose this as a warning to anybody who wants to dabble rashly with the paranormal. The creepiest place I've ever been in my life was a beautiful, charming little city in Germany called Butzbach. And Butzbach is over 400 years old, and they have a tradition there of witches. And as a matter of fact, outside the Kaserne, which is the military compound where I was stationed, across the street behind one of these beer stubs that surrounds the little compound, in a vacant lot was like a 20, 25-foot tall, round, conical-shaped tower with the top cut off of it, and it had a little like 4-foot tall door in it, and you could go in there, and it was maintained perfectly. And there was a dungeon in the floor, and the story of this was that in the old days, when they believed in witches, they would take a supposed witch in there, throw them in the dungeon, close the grate, and lock that door and wait until they died. And when their spirit departed their body, the purpose of the tower was the spirit would go shooting up the top of the tower, and it would have so much projectile force that it couldn't come back down to possess anybody.
At least they hoped it could.
Yeah, they hoped. But anyway, the town is built around a pretty good-sized hill, and the top of the hill still was forested with a delightful little forest. And it was the habit of the soldiers, as a tradition, to go up when they're getting short time, to go up on that hill and drink a bottle of wine. And so when I was in my short time status, I did this with a friend of mine, and we went up there, and we were discussing. There was an elderly lady an elderly German lady who hung out in these beer stubs, and she would drink and get a little nose full, and then she'd come out and she'd be singing these little songs, and we called her Butzbach Annie. And so my friend and I are up there drinking our wine, and we'd finished our wine, and it was a beautiful fall afternoon, and we were in a little glade, and the trees, the leaves were drying yellow, and it was just a lovely day. And my friend and I started talking about Butzbach Annie, and he looks at me and he says, Butzbach Annie's a witch. Well, I grew up in a Christian tradition that denied the existence of such things. And so anyway, I said, oh, yeah, right. And I was a little bit tipsy, and I grabbed a stick, and I drew a circle, and I drew a pentagram in it, and stood in there with my empty wine bottle just dancing around, going ooga booga, ooga booga, ooga booga, just acting silly. And so I stopped for a minute to try to think of something else foolish to say, and it was a dead calm day. You got to understand this. There was no wind or anything. And when I stopped, suddenly the leaves on the trees over my head all shimmered and shook, and my hair went straight up. And I looked over to my friend who was sitting on a large rock, and his eyes were like the size of saucers. And he says, I heard it, and I saw it. So we just got the heck out of there. But that's not the end of the story. I got stationed on the gate because my replacement came in, and that was the habit, they'd give you gate guard duty until your time was up and you went home.
Right.
So I'm at the gate, and this beautiful young German woman comes up, and she's asking for a friend of mine whom I knew had gone to Amsterdam for the weekend. So I said, well, honey, he's gone for the weekend. And she said, well, I wanted to have a date. And I said, well, you can have a date with me. I get off at 6 this afternoon. So she said, sure. And so she came back, and we went out, and we had some wine together and had a nice evening. And we made an appointment for Sunday afternoon when I was off.
Okay.
And so Sunday afternoon she comes, and we take this blanket, and we go up to the top of that same hill, and we put the blanket in the sun, and we had a picnic, and we made love. And it was just a delightful experience. And I left because I had her take me back down because I was going back on duty at 6. And so I run into the barracks, and it's like 5:30, and I'm getting dressed and putting on my fatigues and everything really fast, and there's a window on the back of this room that's on this little alley where this beer stube is. And I hear Boots Balkany come out of the bar, and she's wandering down the street singing a song. I couldn't see her, but I stuck my face up to these bars because they didn't want anybody coming in or going out.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, Hexa, and that means, witch in German.
Yeah.
And she stops her little song, and it's dead quiet for about 5 seconds, and then she says, ja, ich bin ein Hexa, and that means in German, yeah, I'm a witch. And then she switched to English, and she said, you think you're really smart, what you did with that girl up on the hill today, but you stay away from her. Now, the hill was 3 miles away, and you stay away from her. You're bad for that girl. And I got a chill because what the girl had told me after the experience was that she was married, and I would not have considered making love to this child if she were married, because in those days I didn't do those things. Now, here's the warning. Later, 15, 20 years later, I'm telling a friend about this, and he said, when you got out of that circle, there was a demon on your shoulder, and it's still there. And let me tell you what, that affected me for the next 30 years of my life. I had 2 marriages that were broken up because I became an adulterer, and it was only after I lost my second marriage, went down on my knees and begged for forgiveness, that this curse was lifted.
And was it?
Excuse me?
Was it lifted?
Well, I'm alone now, and I have no woman in my life, and I suppose this is the price you pay. And so let me warn anyone, especially you young people who are rash and don't believe in symbolisms of pentagrams and don't believe in witches and goblins and demons. They live, and you must avoid them at all costs.
What a story. What a story indeed. Well, I'm going to tell you a story right now. His name was John Teeter. He was a supposed time traveler from the year 2036. He started posting online several years ago. Where is he now? Nobody knows. Some of the things he posted were uncanny. He talked about world events. He talked about civil war. He talked about mad cow disease. He talked about the Olympics, said that we have a final Olympic in 2004. That didn't happen, but that is up for debate. He talked about some incredible things that would happen in science. He came back because he needed an old IBM 5100 computer. He needed the parts. And then he vanished. His family was living in Florida at the time. They have since moved to the Midwest. And through all this very bizarre occurrences, somehow they have found an attorney to represent them. There's a book out there, apparently written by John Teeter's mother, Kay. The attorney I talked to, his name is Larry Haber. He is an attorney down in Florida. We have checked them out. You will hear his story. You will hear his relationship about John Teeter. And you will hear him talking to Kay, and then he responds back with the answers. Here now is our exclusive interview with Larry Haber, the attorney for the family of alleged time traveler John Teeter. Larry, can you tell us, first of all, your association with either John Teeter, the time traveler, or the family?
I was contacted by a friend of mine from law school a few years ago and said that he was looking for somebody that did some entertainment law work, which I do, and then explained to me the story that is probably pretty well known to the people that are listening right now. And I said, well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and I don't believe it. He said, no, give it a try. I really need some help with this thing. So I went ahead and took the couple of calls and have been involved with it for the last 3 years now.
Are you baffled, perplexed? It is indeed a strange story, is it not?
Baffled, perplexed, and everything in between, sure. I have no idea if any of this is real or not, or true or not. I know that they believe it's real. The few times I've had direct contact with the family, and the many times I've had it through my friend, have led me to believe that these guys really think that everything they keep talking about is absolutely real. But I'm too far removed from it to really get a good handle on it.
Larry, have you met anybody face to face?
No, I have not, except for my friend who, well, I haven't seen him in years. So I know the person that has made the contact with me, but not anybody from the family. Just a couple of phone conversations with John's mom, Kay, and that's all I've had.
Okay, but you still represent them, I assume.
I represent them, that's correct.
Okay, now I understand you have Kay on another line. She does not want to come on the program directly with her voice, but she will answer questions through you. So let me first of all ask you if Kay saw John Teeter from the future John Teeter.
Okay, let me ask. Has Kay seen John Teeter from the future? She's telling me that when he left in March of 2001, she hasn't seen the older version of him since then.
Since then?
Correct.
Is there a smaller version of John Teeter, and if so, how old is he right now?
There is, and he's about to turn 8 years old.
About to turn 8 years old. Has the 8-year-old John Teeter met the adult John Teeter from the future?
I'm glad I'm asking her that. I couldn't answer any of these things. Hold on. They were together for the 3 years when John was here. The future John was here in the past, I should say. It gets a little confusing.
Did her future son talk to her at all about the family, how long they would live, or anything personal like that?
Kay was pretty insistent that she said that at the time she said absolutely not. I don't want to know any details of the future because she was just spooked her. So as far as I can tell from her right now, they have no idea about anything that took place in the future or will take place in the future.
Larry, how did you first come about and meet the John Teeter from the future? How did that all occur for her?
In April of '98, he visited them in Florida and stayed for a couple of months, then came back in June and spent the next 3 years with them, but knew how to find him because obviously he knew where he was living back then.
Why did she believe this individual who would probably show up at their doorstep and say, "Hi, Mom, I'm John Teeter"?
I'm John, right.
Yeah.
Good one, because, again, that's the biggest one for me to try to figure out. Hold on. Good question. She says the first meeting she knew it was him, but it took her about a day to really accept it or figure it out that it was real, or that it really could be real. I don't think she still was convinced that quickly, but she's telling me of how I'm trying to repeat the words. How can a mother not know her son, basically?
Even if he's much older.
Right.
Was she proud of him?
Basically terrified.
Terrified of him? Why?
Terrified. I think it's for the same reason, not wanting to be on the phone now or get more involved than this way. Just when you get hit with something like that, she said, basically, I'm not that sophisticated a person, and to get hit with something like that, it was, why would my son come back? What's wrong in the future? What's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to everybody, and so on. So it took her a while to get over the fear. Very afraid, very fearful, quite almost terrified, I think, from given the way her voice sounds.
Is she pretty well convinced that John went back to his own time era, or has he moved on to other time periods?
She doesn't personally believe he went anywhere else. He really didn't enjoy what he went to do the first time around, and she thinks that he probably would have stayed and not accepted taking another assignment.
Okay, so if I understand you, she thinks that John Teeter from the future is still here in our time period.
No, is in his current time frame in the future.
She went back
Didn't do any more time traveling, right.
Okay.
And that's part of the reason why he probably hasn't been back here.
Understand. There is a book that is being sold now. It's called John Teeter, A Time Traveler's Tale. It's a paperback. It's by John Teeter. I assume is written by the mother. Do you, Larry, as the attorney, do you have anything to do with that? Do you represent them on that at all?
Just in terms of getting the publishing, I can tell you that all I was responsible for was to make sure that the copyrights were filed right, and the things really incidental to it, but had no other involvement with the book itself.
Self-published, or is there a big publisher behind it?
Self-published. No, self-published.
Okay. Is there anything else on the horizon with regards to this John Teeter story that you know of?
Well, I am aware of a movie. Kay had hired me, or actually continued to hire me, but asked me to about a year ago to take a look at making some type of video or film about the story, so that it would be more widely known than just what's out there now. And so, because I do entertainment work, I'm in Orlando and do work with a lot of video companies. One of those companies is working on a film. I have no idea what stage they're at. They told me that they've spent some time with some phone interviews and they were going to put something together for release this year, but I haven't seen anything or really don't know much more about it other than that.
I'm sure the family wishes to remain somewhat anonymous, so they moved from Florida to someplace in the Midwest, I understand?
Nebraska, from what I understand, but that's just what they're telling me. I couldn't tell you if that's really where they're calling from. When they call me, it's no caller ID.
Okay, so she is relatively confidential still, I assume.
Correct, and wants to remain that way. That's the problem. I've probably only talked to her 3-4 times out of the whole couple of year period. And most of it is just through either emails or through a friend of mine that relays messages.
Well, there are a couple of possibilities, Larry, as you know, and as you mentioned at the outset. Either it is a true story that there is indeed time traveling going on in the future, and that some of these individuals, including John Teeter, have come back into our time period to warn us about some events. Or this may be one of the most methodically thought out hoaxes I've ever heard of, in that most hoaxes occur and they go away. This thing it seems to be well planned and well thought out as an event.
Yeah, and it's funny for me because I'm so incidental to it. I've got a full law practice and I do a whole bunch of other things, and I don't even have much time to spend on the internet to even look at it. And then when it pops up, I get all wrapped up in it again for a day or two, and then it goes away for a while, and then it comes back again. It's very, very interesting for me, too.
You may be the only attorney to represent a family or a time traveler from the future.
And I am very interested in the sciences and the possibility of that, so I keep going along, and hopefully I'll find out, too, someday.
You're not getting paid in $2,036, are you?
No. At least that part of it's current.
So
but again, I'm not doing a whole lot of work. That's why I don't really get that involved with it on a day-to-day basis. It's usually just some quick questions, or how do we clear this, or do you know somebody that can produce this kind of thing. So I really do very minimal work. My involvement with stuff like this and interview, and even I got interviewed for a documentary that was out that was produced last year. That takes up a lot more of the time than anything I've ever billed for, but it's been fun.
In your entire law practice career, is this got to be one of the strangest cases you've ever had?
This is the best. That's why I enjoy doing it. It's absolutely fun.
Weirder and weirder. I think what I'll do is get Oliver Williams on, who has the John Teeter website. Oliver's an expert, and get him to hear this interview and react to it, and we'll play it again on an earlier show, and we'll try to figure out just what's happening. But it is a very strange story. It's either one of the greatest hoaxes I've ever heard, where they have planned this for years, for some financial gain down the line, or John Teeter was a real time traveler. For Karis Coburn, Dan Galante, Steve Carr, Tom Danheiser, Lisa Lyon, Lex Lonehood, Sean Ladesseur, Ian Punnett, and Art Bell this weekend, I'm George Norrie. Somewhere out there on Coast to Coast AM. I'll see you on our next edition. Until then, be safe.